Hi, I'm the Recruiting Maven and welcome back to my channel. Just want to say a quick thank you for those who like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I deeply appreciate your support. For those of you who are new to my channel, I do have an ever-growing playlist addressing career tips and advice, so do make use of that and hopefully you will find some great content to help you along your way. With that said, I do have career services and you can find all that information in the description box below. So today's topic of conversation is one of career gaps and how to make that look on a resume. And by that I mean it's literally how do you make that look good on a resume. Some time ago I had a candidate who actually was an accountant and a full certified CPA, and that was great. It's okay if you don't have that kind of skill set, but what had happened with him is he had actually taken about 6 years off the typical job market, and he was taking care of his ailing mother. And what he had done is on the actual resumes, he expressed in a very articulate and professional manner how he actually managed his mother's estate. And now he didn't include my mother's estate. Of course, he named her by last name, the estate of. So that's make sure that you're, again, being very professional. And he also touched on the fact that he actually managed all the trust investments and how much success he had had in that particular role. So I thought it was phenomenal because that really highlighted himself as a dynamic person, somebody who's, for me, spoke to the fact that he was willing to change, that he had, being flexible and being creative in his career, that he had the wherewithal, not just as an accountant, but as a human being, to take on all these tasks and be successful. And of course, the humanitarian side of that, that speaks for itself. So I know that some of you that has not been your experience, and you've maybe been laid off. I know the recession is over, but again, we are looking, as we are already into the fourth industrial revolution, we're looking to have a somewhere around 7 to 9% unemployment rate in 5 years. And that is not because of any political standing that we have. Doesn't matter what president we have, it really has to do with technology. So artificial intelligence is going to have a tremendous impact on your career. And so getting you prepared for that is also very important. I do have other separate playlists for that. Now, moving on. So if you have experience maybe that you're in a job and your VC has pulled the plug and there's no more funding, and I have recruited for a couple of companies that that exact scenario happened, and it was very devastating to the teams, especially the ones that I hired. It's not always easy, right? And so just make sure that you're being transparent, that you're upfront about that, and there aren't any misgivings. Stay positive throughout that conversation with whether it's a recruiter and or the hiring manager. And don't go too much into details because that's never good either. So nobody wants their dirty laundry aired out, right? So make sure that, if they've lost funding, just keep it short and sweet and professional. So definitely I wanted to give you a great tip, because I think a lot of, not only recruiters, but I think a lot of HR people as well as hiring managers forget about this, that there's some value to having not worked for a while. So by that I mean, I know that there's a standard. If you haven't worked in a long time, then you must not really be in demand, that there is something wrong with you, there's something wrong with your background. And I think that you can speak to it in a different way by saying, look, I'm motivated. Let me prove to you that I'm motivated. Let me prove to you I have the right skill set. And I think that'll speak volumes to you. There's a passion behind that, and to prove yourself to that new employer. So make sure that they know that. Whether you've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years or whether you're taking care of an elderly parent, whatever the situation may be, make sure you're putting your best foot forward in representing yourself as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that shows to me a certain skill set that is you know, you can't buy that. You really can't buy that. I can find candidates who will check the list, you know, the proverbial list of skill sets and whatnot. But, you know, I'm always surprised and very much impressed by people who are, you know, just out of the box thinkers. You know, I had a mom a few years back who her title on her resume was actually home administrator. Her dates that she actually stayed at home, and everything she did, again, in relation to that new position. So I thought she did a phenomenal job. And then she didn't include her PTA as volunteer. She actually included it as an additional job. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we all know who the PTA is and that people volunteer. And yes, maybe you did have a job with them formally, but we all know that that's not what it is. So include that as a regular job because, you know, she was working 40 hours a month, and that's a lot. I think most people think you're just baking cookies and you're doing cookie sales and bake sales and whatnot, but this person was a treasurer, and she, you know, did year-end or month-end closings and, you know, budgeting for each of the different departments. And so it was very interesting how she spun that experience on her resume, which again speaks to her flexibility, her creativity, and I just absolutely love that. So I was happy to represent her as well. So with that said, you know, if they do ask you, you know, why haven't you been employed? And you can always say, I'm choosy. I don't feel the need to necessarily take anything that's offered to me. I don't necessarily need or feel the need to just take a job to take a job. I want to make sure that's going to be right for me and for the company. And, you know, having done my due diligence, I think that we would be a good fit for one another. And of course, you can expand on some of that language, but just so that you get an idea. Again, so thankful for your time and your support. I do appreciate it. If you are interested in any of my services, please check out the description box below. And if you know of somebody that may need some of my services, I would appreciate a referral as well. I will see you in my next video. With that, hopefully you're having a lovely rest of your day and a great week ahead. Take care.